Hey everybody, Ash here with Gents. That was quick. Today I'm coming at you with a fragrance line review, 8 different fragrances. It's from the Banana Republic Icon Collection. Now I have talked about these fragrances in the past. I think that I've made 2 videos on them at this point. I was approached by the website So Avant-Garde. They offered to give a bottle away to one of my subscribers, and they sent me the ones in the line that I didn't have. All I had to do was a review on these fragrances, so that's what I'm going to do for you here today. And thank you to So Avant-Garde. And also, I'm going to give away one of the bottles from my collection, so that means 2 bottles will be given away. One from So Avant-Garde directly shipped to one of you out there that wins it, and then one shipped from me to one of you guys out there. As usual, I'm going to keep it 100 with you guys on these fragrances, let you know what I like, what I don't like, whatever. Got a lot of fragrances to cover and not a whole lot of time, so let's jump into this. Alright guys, let's check out this presentation. Obviously, I'm just going to show you the presentation for 1 bottle. 8 bottles presentation, that'd be a bit overkill, especially considering they're all the same thing. So here's the box. You've got the name of the house, name of the fragrance, size and concentration down here at the bottom. Nothing on the top. On the spine of mine, I've got a barcode. And on the back, you've got ingredient information. The badge code is on the bottom of the box. It's actually printed right up here in ink. Then the box opens up like so, and the bottle sits down in here. Alright, enough of the box, here's the bottle. This is actually a very sturdy bottle design. Feels very heavy in the hand, and the glass is quite thick. You got the name of the house, name of the fragrance here. The cap does click into place. It's a really nice heavy metal cap. Atomizer on these is good. There's nothing doing on the sides or the back. And then on the bottom you have a sticker, which has your badge code. And there is a better view of it. There we have the presentation for the Banana Republic Icon Collection. Every one of them is the same, other than the name. I actually covered these first on This Week in Fragrance back maybe a couple years ago at this point. Originally there were 5 fragrances in the collection, and then they added 3 more. The original 5 were these ones: 17 Oud Mosaic, 06 Black Platinum, 90 Pure White, 83 Leather Reserve, and 78 Vintage Green. That one's my favorite. Then they added 3 more on, which are these ones: Cypress Cedar, Neroli Woods, and Linen Vetiver. Let's jump into these fragrances. First off, I want to talk about this one, 83 Leather Reserve. This one opens up with citrus, cypress, and cedar. Initially, it's not really a leather fragrance at all. It's more fresh and green. The top on this starts to dry down pretty quickly though, and that's where the suede leather starts to come into play. The main thing you get in that fragrance is that suede in the mid with some cedar and vetiver in the background. Some people online actually mentioned a cigarette smell with this one in the mid, smelling like cigarette ash, but I don't get that at all. It's possible that cedar vetiver cypress combo that's in here working with the suede is mixing some people up and fooling them. And this one is definitely on the masculine side of things as far as these fragrances go. Technically they're all unisex, but this one shades masculine, which you would probably expect because it is a leather fragrance. Well, at least the name says it is. Drawback on this one: longevity, not so good. Projection, not so good, especially for a leather-based fragrance. 83 Leather Reserve though is a very solid fragrance, especially considering the price, and really, that holds true for every single one of these. You may see Banana Republic and think, oh god, it's another crappy mall fragrance. But these are actually all surprisingly very, very good. And if you don't believe me, go online, read some reviews on Fragrantica, other places. Generally, these are all well received. I'm not just trying to fool you with fancy words. All right, next up, let's talk about one of the newer ones. Let's talk about this one, Linen Vetiver. Linen Vetiver opens up very clean and soapy, which you would probably think because it has the word linen in the title, so that might make you think of like a fresh, clean pair of linen sheets. There's a considerable floral, hyacinth, and iris blend off the top in this fragrance. The iris here though doesn't come across lipsticky or makeup-y. It's not really thick and dense. More than anything, it just comes across green and florally with a bit of bergamot in there, giving it kind of a nice citrus touch. I actually love the way this one smells. Some people out there may say that they don't like this one as much, but I really, really like it. Though it is feminine. Out of all of these, this one is probably the one that leans the most feminine. And this fragrance to me actually smells like the fragrance that an ex-girlfriend used to wear. To me, this fragrance is kind of intoxicating, a little bit sexy. I mean, it's definitely just a clean, fresh floral fragrance, but it smells nice. The vetiver in this is very clean. It mixes with the florals in a nice, clean white musk. So if you're looking for a more masculine fragrance, this one probably not going to be for you. If you're looking for a fragrance out of these, maybe for your girlfriend, check that one out. Okay, let's go back to one of the older ones. Let's go with, yeah, this one. 17, Oud Mosaic. This one does have the darkest color of any of the Banana Republic Icon Collection fragrances. It's got kind of a very light amber coloration. This one's got notes of oud, rose, plum, and saffron. And this actually gets compared to a much more expensive fragrance, which is Dior Oud Ispahan. So kind of, sort of, this is like a much more affordable take on that fragrance. Opens really nice with a plum, spice, oud, and rose. Smells great off the top. And off the top, it is kind of a fresher take on oud, but that changes as it starts to dry down. You end up with the classic rose oud combination in this fragrance, though with plum and saffron providing a little bit of sweetness, and then some resinous warmth coming from amber and labdanum. To me, the oud here is not animalic or smelly or funky or anything like that, which I guess you would expect because this is a Banana Republic fragrance ultimately, and you wouldn't really think that they would take an oud note really far in that direction. The oud here is more just a really light, wearable, toned down version of oud. That is an easily wearable fragrance. It's not trying to be adventurous. It's not trying to test your thoughts on what fragrance can be. It's just trying to be an easily wearable, passable, light, sweet oud with plum, rose, and spices. And it succeeds at that. Performance is decent on this one, around 6 hours. Projection, best in the first hour or so, then it sits closer to the skin. Ultimately, I don't think any of these fragrances are really, really strong performers. Oud Mosaic, though, solid fragrance. All right, let's do another of the older ones. We're gonna do 06 Black Platinum. This has a really interesting mix of notes, including cactus, pink pepper, leather, amber, pear, and patchouli. Black Platinum, again, a unisex fragrance, but this one, if I had to say, leans a little more feminine. Not as feminine as Linen Vetiver, but still a little feminine. It's got a slight powdery white floral feel in the opening with bits of amber and pink pepper strewn in. The leather accord in here is definitely a more feminine leather, if you want to call it that. Not masculine at all. Soft and powdery a little bit. And online, this gets compared to Hermes Eau de Merveille, which I actually own. And I will let you guys know that, yeah, there is a strong similarity between that one and this one. And just so you're aware, that Hermes that this is similar to is marketed solely toward women. So for those of you out there who are not comfortable wearing a fragrance that kind of straddles the line as to what is normally acceptable for men to wear, then you may not be comfortable wearing this one. For those of you guys out there that are more adventurous though, you're not gonna care. The quality on this fragrance definitely is on the higher end of things. It does not smell at all like a $48 fragrance. That one is though one of the weaker performers of the bunch. Not the absolute weakest, but one of the weaker ones. Definitely a little bit below average. All right, let's keep this going. Let's go with newer one, Cypress Cedar. This opens up with mint and a bitter orange, though the bitter orange in here actually comes across more like lemon than it does orange. Vetiver and moss pop up early in this fragrance, and it actually has drawn comparisons to Hermes Terre d'Hermes. Now, I'm not going to tell you that this is an exact clone of Terre d'Hermes because it's not, but I would easily tell you that it is inspired by Terre d'Hermes. There are differences between this one and Terre d'Hermes though. Let's just touch on a couple of those really quickly. Terre d'Hermes has a really earthy orange. It's one of the things that's most well known about that fragrance. The bitter orange here comes across again more lemony. It doesn't smell the same as in Terre d'Hermes. As well, the pepper note in Cypress Cedar, much less pronounced than the pepper note in Terre d'Hermes. As well, the vetiver in Cypress Cedar is not as pronounced as the vetiver in Terre d'Hermes. Terre d'Hermes is definitely more of an earthy fragrance than Cypress Cedar. Cypress Cedar has a little bit of a green feel that pops out from the cypress in the fragrance, which you would probably expect because the name of the fragrance is Cypress Cedar. As this one dries down, I also get pops of rhubarb here and there that come out. It adds a nice tart kind of sweetness. And then the cypress and cedar that the fragrance is named for. That's a solid, gentlemanly summer and spring type of fragrance that you could wear casually or to the office, and it definitely comes across as more of a daytime fragrance than nighttime fragrance in my opinion. Performance on that one is good, longevity about 6 hours, projection pretty solid initially, then it starts to sit a little closer to the skin. As far as the fragrances in this lineup though, It's probably in the top 2 as far as performance goes. All right, next up, let's do a newer one. We'll go with this one, Neroli Woods, which is the last of the 3 new ones. Neroli Woods opens up with a strong similarity to Tom Ford Neroli Portofino, which I know basically every time a Neroli fragrance gets mentioned, it's like, oh, that smells like Neroli Portofino, don't it? And that can be annoying sometimes because just automatically jumping from Neroli equals Neroli Portofino can be, you know, kind of lazy. But it works in this situation. I don't know what to tell you. Strong neroli note mixes with the orange blossom and mandarin leaf off the top. Very, very fresh, clean, refreshing, invigorating. It's just a really nice citrusy white floral feel right off the top. And while being similar to Neroli Portofino, I would say that Neroli Woods leans a little bit more masculine than Neroli Portofino does. There's also a tiny touch of a sunscreen vibe that you pick up from this fragrance underneath all that neroli, which I'm going to assume is coming from the solar notes and the coconut used in this fragrance. In the base, you've got a nice sandalwood and cedar combo that mixes with those white flowers, those citrusy white flowers from the opening into the dry down. This is a fairly simplistic fragrance, but it's pulled off really well, smells great. Performance on this not so great, which is pretty common with neroli based fragrances. Longevity for me about 4 hours, projection best in the first 30 minutes or so. You can go heavy on the trigger with this one. It's not going to offend anybody, so you can spray it on like crazy if you want, and it's gonna be a great spring and summer fragrance, mainly for daytime use. All right, down to our final 2, we'll do this one, 90 Pure White. Opens up very clean and bright with green tea and citruses. The fragrance within the first 45 seconds begins to smell like a freshly laundered pile of clothes, which I'm pretty sure is how this has been described in the past by other people, but that's pretty accurate. Has a soapy, clean feel to it. Definitely more of a spring and summer fragrance, definitely more of a daytime fragrance. This is one that comes across maybe a little bit simple, just like the last one, but it's definitely refreshing, clean, and inoffensive. Very pleasing. As it dries down, it continues to smell great. It has a nice warm amber in the base. It's not very strong, but again, just lends a little bit of warmth. And then you have a sweet jasmine and a clean musk, which mixes with the remaining tea and citruses from the opening. You understand when you spray this on why they named it Pure White. It's basically just the most clean, inoffensive fragrance that they could have possibly tried to make. Performance for me is all right, 5 to 6 hours, so maybe slightly below average, but it's passable. And then projection on the weaker side of things for me, definitely below average as far as projection goes. And that's another one that shades a little bit feminine, but definitely still unisex in my opinion. And we're gonna wrap it up with this one, 78 Vintage Green. This is my favorite of the bunch, which you can probably tell. And this is one that I've talked about in the past more than once, I'm pretty sure. So if you search Vintage Green on my channel, Banana Republic Vintage Green, I believe I did a full review on this one and I brought it up in other videos as well. So I'm not gonna spend too much time on this one, as green tea, bergamot, fig, and green notes as some of the main notes in the fragrance. Which makes sense because the name of the fragrance is Vintage Green. Main thing you wanna concentrate on there, green. Another fragrance that's perfect for spring and summer. That one would fit right in line with the Hermes Jardin line of fragrances, which includes the oh so famous Un Jardin sur le Nil. It mainly hits you with notes of fig, citrus, and musk with backing notes of vetiver and tea. It's an extremely pleasant fragrance from top to bottom, smells fantastic. I really do like that one a lot. And honestly, it's a bargain at the price. Longevity for me in the 6 hour range, projection moderate. And that one, Vintage Green, is wholly unisex in my opinion. So there we go, the Banana Republic Icon Collection. I tried to get through those as quickly as possible because that's a lot of stuff to talk about. Now, as far as the giveaway goes, here's how we're going to do it. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, like always. Make sure to leave a comment that says you want to be entered and say which of these 8 fragrances that you want. Make sure to say that, otherwise you're gonna get a random one. After this video hits 500 likes, I'll go ahead and close the giveaway. I'll use a random comment picker, select 2 winners through random comment picker, and pin their names at the top of the comments. Just send me an email with your address, and then one of you will get a package from So Avant Garde with your selection, and the other will get one from me. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. I will see you guys next time. I'm just gonna leave that in. Whatever, I'll see you next time.